Hello, my name is Deepak Bhardwaj and I'll be giving a demo for physics. Before I start the teaching portion, let me give you a brief introduction about myself. From training, I am an electrical engineer from IIT Delhi. So I did my BTech in electrical engineering from IIT Delhi. I passed out in 2008. So my entry year was 2004. In JEE 2004, I got rank of 175, that is AIR 175 in general category. After passing out in 2008, for around 2.5 years, I was working in industry, different industries. I worked in software industry, finance, as well as electronics. Then from late 2010, I started teaching for JEE as well as NEET. Majority of my experience has been with FIITSE South Delhi and Narayana Bangalore. If I talk about the best results of my career, best results were in 2018 when two of my students, Kalash Gupta and Manupriya, both were from FIITSE South Delhi and they did really well in JEE Advanced 2018. Kalash Gupta had AIR 03, Manupriya had AIR of 220. As I said, both of them were from FIITSE South Delhi students and both were my students from the beginning. This is the best results, but even besides these, every year I've been producing consistently AIRs below 500, at least one every year, or sometimes more than one also. Now, this is my brief introduction. Now I'm going to start with the physics portion. So I am going to address the screen now as if I'm talking to the students directly. Hello students, today we are going to talk about spherical conductors. Before this, we have already talked about the properties of conductors, basic properties of conductors. So we know that in conductors, net electric field is zero in steady state. We already know about conductors with cavity. In both cases, if the cavity has charge or it doesn't have charge. So now today we'll talk about spherical conductors and the variations, all the possible variations. Let's start with the simplest case. All right. We'll start with the most basic case, which is just one spherical conductor with, let's say, a charge Q on it. What happens? Now, this is the simplest case. We know for any conductor, if you just have one conductor, then all the charge has to be on the surface of the conductor. Okay. All the charge must be on the surface. This we have already derived. So this charge Q on the single spherical conductor will also be on the surface. Now you'll say, sir, this is too simple. Yes, this is very simple. But still we have to understand this. Also, please realize in this, if there is no other charge in the vicinity, if there is no other charge in the surrounding area, then this charge distribution will also be uniform on the surface. Okay, so if I consider different points on the sphere, at all the points, charge per unit area will remain same. Or I can also say the charge distribution will be uniform. All right, we're done with the simplest case. Now we are going to increase the complexity. After 1, what is the next number? The next number will be 2. So now let's talk about two spherical conductors. Let's say I have two concentric spherical shells. You can see in the diagram that I have a smaller shell with a charge Q1, a bigger shell with a charge Q2. And how many surfaces are there? You can count 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are in total 4 surfaces. So we are going to now talk about the charge distribution on all these four surfaces. All right, because it's a shell. So for a shell, there is an inner surface as well as an outer surface. That's why for both shells, you can see if I count in total, we have four surfaces. All right, now what will be the distribution? Whenever you have a question of concentric spherical shells and you want to do the charge distribution, start from the smallest shell. Okay, start from the shell which is the smallest one. So in this case also, we will start with the smallest one. What happens to this charge Q1? We know for a conductor, if inside the cavity we have not placed any charge, then all the charge of the conductor will be on the outer surface. So same thing will happen here. All of this Q1 will come on the outer surface. As you can see in the diagram, there will be no charge on the inner surface. Okay, no charge on the inner surface of the smaller shell. Simple. Now what happens to the bigger shell? On the bigger shell, we have total charge Q2. What about the distribution? See, for the bigger shell, you can think in this way, that for the bigger shell, the smaller shell charge is like a charge in the cavity. And we know what happens when we place a charge in the cavity. I hope you guys remember. All right, we have done this last time. Let me remind you. Let's say you have a conductor of any random shape and you have a cavity. If I place a charge inside the cavity, what happens to the charge on the cavity's inner walls? If you guys remember, we discussed that the cavity's inner walls will get an equal and opposite charge. Okay, on cavity's inner walls, we must have equal and opposite charge. Meaning, if you place a charge Q inside the cavity, on the cavity's walls, what will be the charge? It will be minus Q. Do you understand? Equal in magnitude, but opposite in polarity. So instead of Q, now on the cavity's walls, you'll have minus Q. Again, we've already discussed this. Now I'm going to apply this for the case of spherical shell. Let's go to the case of spherical shell. Now I just told you that on the smaller sphere, charge is Q1. So what will be the charge on the inner surface of the bigger sphere? See, this is the bigger sphere. I'm talking about the charge on the inner surface. Charge on the inner surface, that means charge on the cavity's inner wall will be equal and opposite. That's why on the facing surface of Q1, we have the charge minus Q1. All right, do you understand? We just discussed, right? Let me go to the rough page. See, I told you if there is a charge Q inside the cavity, on the cavity's walls, what kind of charge do we get? We get an equal and opposite charge, minus Q. That means, can I say now that if the smaller sphere has a charge Q1, for the bigger sphere, the charge on the inner surface will be equal and opposite, and hence it will be minus Q1. Okay, this charge will be minus Q1. Now, this is done. We know the charge on the inner surface of the bigger sphere. What about the charge on the outer surface? Let's think about this. Just to make it slightly simpler, let's consider some numbers. Okay, let's suppose charge on the outer shell, total charge was 100 coulombs. Out of this 100 coulombs, if I tell you, let's suppose I tell you that the inner surface has charge 10 coulomb, what will be the charge on the outer surface? You will say, if total is 100, out of which 10 is on the inner surface, so charge on the outer surface will be 90 coulombs. So that this 100 was total. So that the total of 10 and 90 is still 100. So basically what you have done is, to calculate the charge on the outer surface, you have taken the total charge. From that, you have subtracted the charge on the inner surface. From 100, you subtracted 10. You got 90 as the charge on the outer surface. Let's apply the same concept now. Okay. For the outer shell, I have given you total charge as Q2. Total charge is Q2. I am going to do total minus inner. What is the charge on the inner surface? Charge on the inner surface I've already found. It's minus Q1. Right? We have already talked about this. Charge on the inner surface is minus Q1. That means charge on the outer will be total minus the charge on the inner surface. Minus minus will become plus, and you'll get Q2 plus Q1 as the charge on the outer surface. Done. Some of you will probably say, sir, too many lines. We don't understand what's happening. Can you please repeat? Yes, I can repeat. What we'll do is, let's forget about all of this. Let's start from the beginning. From the beginning, we have two surfaces, two shells, two concentric spherical shells. Their total charges are given to us. We want to do the distribution. Where should we start from? Should we start from the smaller shell or the bigger shell? I told you we have to start from the smaller shell. Okay, we have to start from the smaller shell, and on the smaller shell also I can say charge on the inner surface will be 0 because there is no charge inside the cavity. For the smaller shell, charge, all the charge Q1 will be on its outer surface. So all of this Q1 will be here on the outer surface of the smaller shell, as you can see in the diagram. Now this is done. Smaller one is done. What about the bigger one? For the bigger one, again, you have two surfaces. On the inner surface of the bigger sphere, this is the bigger sphere. I'm talking about the inner surface. On the inner surface, the charge will be equal and opposite to the charge in the cavity. Charge inside the cavity is Q1. What is the equal and opposite? The equal and opposite will be minus Q1. So this charge will be minus Q1. Done. Charge on the inner surface is done. What about the charge on the outer surface? Charge on the outer surface will be total charge minus the charge on the inner surface. That means total charge Q2 minus the charge on the inner surface. Charge on the inner surface is minus Q1. And what does this become? Q2 minus minus Q1. This minus minus will become plus. So can I write it equal to Q2 plus Q1? And we are done. This is how you're going to distribute charges on two concentric spherical shells. Now you'll see below the diagram, I have summarized these things. You can see the two concepts that you have to remember. First is there must be an equal and opposite charge on facing surfaces. So I'm talking about this Q1 and minus Q1 here. They are facing surfaces, right? So on facing surfaces, you must have equal and opposite charge. First thing. On the outer surface, if you want to calculate charge, you will use charge conservation. So remember, I told you on the outer surface, how do we calculate charge? We will say total charge minus the charge on the inner surface. That means I'm conserving the charge on the bigger sphere, because the total charge inner plus outer has to be equal to total. It has to remain conserved. So on the outer surface, charge will be total minus inner using the concept of charge conservation. Now I've told you the concept. Some of you may still be confused. So just to remove any doubts, now I'm going to give you a numerical example. Okay. Sometimes what happens is when there are symbols, it's slightly difficult to understand. But if I give you some concrete numbers, it becomes easier to understand. So let's talk about some numbers here. Let's say I have two concentric spheres. I'll try to draw spheres here. Two concentric spheres, two concentric shells. Let's say that initially I'm given their total charges. On the inner shell, I am given that the total charge is minus 2 coulombs. On the outer shell, I am given that the total charge is minus 6 coulombs. These values are given. Now I have to do distribution. I told you there are 4 surfaces. What will be the distribution? Where will we start from? Will we start from the smaller one or the bigger one? We have to start from the smallest one. On the smallest one, all the charge will be on its outer surface. So no charge on surface 1. All of this minus 2 coulombs will be on surface number 2. Okay, surface number 2 will have charge minus 2 coulombs. So please notice in the diagram, in red I have given you initially total charges. In black, now I'm giving you the steady state charge distribution, final charge distribution. Inner shell is done. What about the outer shell? For the outer shell, there are 2 surfaces, 3 and 4. You can see in the diagram number 3 and number 4. Number 3 is the inner surface. For the inner surface, charge will be equal and opposite to the charge inside the cavity. Charge inside the cavity is minus 2. What will be the equal and opposite value? Equal and opposite value will be plus 2. So this will be plus 2 coulombs. Inner surface charge is done. What about the charge on the outer surface? Charge on the outer surface always is total minus inner. So total will be minus 6. It's given to us initially, minus 6. What is the charge on the inner surface? Charge on the inner surface we just calculated is plus 2. So what will be the value of minus 6 minus 2? Let's see, minus 6 minus 2. Is it minus 8? Yes, it is minus 8. So this will be minus 8 coulombs. That means charge on the outer surface will come out as minus 8 coulombs. All right. I have told you the concepts. What are the concepts? Quickly. Equal and opposite charges on facing surfaces. For outer surfaces, use charge conservation. So from now on, whenever you have 2 spherical shells, you have to do charge distribution. You must not make any mistake. Okay, this concept you must understand today thoroughly. There should be no mistake here. I've given you the concept as well as a numerical example. Don't think that sir is on YouTube, he's on internet, so he cannot do anything to us. You have to understand it very thoroughly. You have to write it after the video. Now on, I should not see any of you making mistakes in 2 spherical shells. Rest. Let's end the video right now. After this, we'll continue in the next time. Thank you.